Choose happy. Choose CertaPro painters.
Get started with your no-hassle refi checkup by clicking on the blue button at Accunet.com.
We find the best way to protect and uphold the reputation of our business is to hire good people and then take care of them. We really do love the people that work for us, and we care about what's in their best interest. And what that means to you is this. Who do you really want on your job? Someone who's maybe underpaid or doesn't feel appreciated? Might not have paid vacations or great work benefits? Our folks have all of these things and more. Vito and I make sure they feel appreciated because happy people do happy work. There's a culture we're building here at Semper Fi that brings respect back to a very hard job. And that's why we know that our crews are going to do the kind of work that you expect. This is Brad Youngluth with Semper Fi Roofing and Exteriors, your local, veteran-owned and operated exterior remodeling company. For your new roof, siding, window and door installation, or masonry work, you can count on Semper Fi to keep you safe, warm, and dry.
We keep you safe, warm, and dry, Semper Fi.
Brewers Weekly on WTMJ.
Coming along on the program here, I'm Dominic Cotroneo. Now let's get rolling. Let's talk a little pitching and talk a little bit about that eighth inning, too. I'm Dom Cotroneo. Here's a text that just came in. If you want to join in, 855-616-1620. 855-616-1620. David in Superior. Do you see the Brewers making any moves for a more established starting pitcher in the future? Or is it just a matter of getting everyone healthy? In that regard, what is the status on Miley after taking that ball to the leg? Good question. I'll address the latter first. Miley, in his own words, was feeling a lot better than he anticipated yesterday than he felt exiting that game on Tuesday. If you missed it, he got hit by a liner right on the kneecap. No fracture, anything needed. He showed it to us in the clubhouse. No bruising. It's a little swollen. It's got a little cut on it from the laces, but it's just a matter of will it stiffen up on him like today or tomorrow after all the travel and things like that. As of now, he would be scheduled to go again on Tuesday in Pittsburgh. So we'll continue to monitor that if that needs to be done for Wade Miley. As for getting an established pitcher in the near future, I don't know. If Jacob Junis continues to have a longer stay on the IL than maybe the Brewers anticipate, I could certainly see them entertaining that. And furthermore, if DL Hall does not right the ship here in maybe the next 5 to 6 starts, 5-7 starts, something like that, where the Brewers feel, okay, they might need a little bit more support there. And, given all that Wade has gone through already, Wade is 36, 37 years old. So to rely on him to throw over 100 innings is asking a lot. So I could certainly see that being on the table. Maybe not this early. If there's further bad news when it comes to Junis, when it comes to Gasser, when it comes to Miley, that's when I think they would really start to push that a little harder. But right now, you're always looking for pitching, but I don't think it's going to happen for a few weeks. Let's talk a little bit about the pitching yesterday and how great it was to see on a bullpen day the Brewers have a shutout. And this is what the Brewers do. Their pitching, their defense, they kind of go hand in hand. Here's what Pat Murphy had to say about it.
Bryce and Hudson gave us what we needed. I mean, Bryce was sensational. And we sat in the office and talked about this day coming, and Bryce was he was spot on. To give us that start out of the gate when that kid was incredible early. And that kid was sensational. Nobody was hitting him today. And to have us match him like that and Hudson go in there, he's kind of been unsung. He's been great. So you think about that start, and that was special.
It was really great stuff. Bryce Terang agreed that King's stuff was exceptionally nasty, and it really made it a hard time. But why they finally had success in the 8th inning? Staying in it.
We were having competitive at-bats, being aggressive. He was throwing good pitches. He was in the zone and just missed some balls that, it is what it is. It's baseball. It's part of it. But he pitched well, and we also stayed competitive every at-bat and, came out with a win. That's what matters. So.
Amen. Winning is everything there. That's what Bryce had to say after yesterday's game, too. More from him about that big 8th inning in just a moment as well. But the defense was exceptional. I mean, I think it was 15 ground ball outs yesterday, 2 double plays turned. Obviously, the great dazzling play by Uribe certainly takes the highlights. But overall, the defense, this is how it's designed. And the fact that we've seen a couple blips on the radar is very odd. But this is what the defense was supposed to
Our
look
defense is, it starts with Willie and William behind the plate, and you think about Bowers and Hoskins at first, and we got the best second baseman in baseball, and, our third basemen have come through. Dunn had a good game defensively today, and Ortiz is learning the position, and he's spectacular there. And our outfield defense hasn't been great as we thought it would be, but we're all really young out there, and they're getting to play positions for the first time. Defense is the best friend of the pitching staff. It all kind of works together, and then you give your offense a chance to work.
That was certainly the case on Wednesday. As for Uribe, man, I just can't stop watching that play. The degree of difficulty with Tatis, who's one of the fastest runners in the game, do or die play, runner in from third is going to score. You've got that traffic in the corner of your eye. You have to throw this off balance. And let's say he misfires, Tatis might end up on second or third, depending on where the ball ends up, and the threat's far from over. Meanwhile, you've only got one hit against Michael King. That was such a massive play.
Bowers, his footwork at first base and his glove work is sensational. But yeah, that was a big play, especially leadoff triple, punch or pop out punch, swinging bunt with a guy that can run. It's awesome.
Awesome. Absolutely awesome. And I'm glad Pat Murphy mentioned Jake Bowers, because Bowers has quietly been very, very good defensively at first base. He's now got 5 scoops this year at first, and he's not getting regular playing time, kind of like every other day playing time at first base. 5 scoops leads baseball for the most scoops. Saving errors, bad throws. That's huge. You ask any infielder, they're as good as their first baseman is, because the first baseman can make infielders look a whole lot better. I think of Matt Olson when he was paired with Matt Chapman with the Oakland A's. Chapman's got a wicked arm, and sometimes it's too strong for his own good. And Matt Olson being 6'5" and being able to scoop a lot and have a giant frame for Chapman certainly had him get away with a lot of throwing errors, whereas you paired Matt Chapman with Vladimir Guerrero Jr. with the Blue Jays, and all of a sudden his throwing errors went up. So those are some of the things that defensive-minded teams are always thinking about. A quality defensive first baseman is very important for the Brewers and for most teams' success, to make sure for a team that's certainly relying on their defense all season long. The pitching was phenomenal. Again, Bryce Wilson gets a no decision, but he did exactly what they asked. Brian Hudson gets a no decision. He's already, we were talking amongst the media, he might already be the unsung hero, but he's getting pretty sung. It's meant to be someone that's under the radar. And Brian Hudson's been pitching in leverage innings, and he's been phenomenal so far in his first season with the Brewers. Peguero got out of it, Uribe with the great play, and Payamps closing things down with the save in the 9th inning. All of those guys needed, and a reminder, Peguero and Uribe and Payamps were all working on back-to-backs, and that's not easy. Yes, they had the off day today, but knowing that you can kind of have to, all right, I don't have the same stuff, I don't have the same velo as I have, that was huge. I just can't underrate the fact that you can't script these kind of things, and Pat Murphy said as such after as well, but that one is close to the script as it could go, aside from the offense. But pitching-wise, you get a 0 on the board, you're always going to be happy about it. And that was great. Let's talk about what went well in that 8th inning for the Brewers, why it all worked out in the bottom of the 8th inning, and Bryce Terang having guts of steel. Let me explain why coming up next here as you're listening to Brewers Weekly on your home of the Brewers, 620 WTMJ.
More Brewers Weekly coming up on WTMJ.
Throughout history, some people have been born into greatness because of their name or family. Others gained greatness because of their actions. On Wisconsin's Morning News, we celebrate everyday heroes, the John or Jane Doe who had no idea when they woke up one morning they'd be saving a life. Everyday Heroes, Thursday at 6:40 on Wisconsin's Morning News. Presented by Azura Memory Care and Assisted Living, transforming the culture of care.
Carole King, one of the most beloved and successful songwriters of all time.
I feel the earth move under my feet.
The Fireside Theater presents Tony and Grammy Award-winning Beautiful, the Carole King musical. Her story from 18-year-old songwriter of Will You Still Love Me Tomorrow to writing hits for the biggest acts in music to the trailblazing success of her album Tapestry.
And it's too late, baby, now it's too late.
Beautiful features such unforgettable classics as Pleasant Valley Sunday, We Gotta Get Out of This Place, You've Lost That Lovin' Feeling, On Broadway, The Locomotion, and of course, Unnatural Woman.
You make me feel like a natural woman.
Every ticket to the Fireside includes memorable dining, spectacular gift shops, and free parking. Order your tickets now. Call 920-563-9505 or visit firesidetheater.com. Beautiful, the Carole King musical, through May 26th, only at the Fireside Theater.
So he said to me, boy, oh boy, do you got the boulders. And I said, you betcha. And he said, do you mind if I cherry pick? And I said, feel free. They're all beautiful and they're all granite. Sparkling pinks, blues, and grays from 4 to 36 inches. And they're all priced right because we buy direct from the source nationwide to give you the look you want. Erickson's Landscape Supply. High-quality mulch and stone for a whole lot less. Commercial or residential, visit ericksonslandscapesupply.com to see our entire selection. Well, if you need flagstone for your new natural patio, Erickson's is the place to find it. We have the largest selection and 15 styles to choose from. And for decorative stone, Erickson's is your best choice. Our decorative stone is trucked in from all over the country. We buy straight from the quarry and cut out the middleman to keep your prices nice and low. Erickson's Landscape Supply. High-quality mulch and stone for a whole lot less. Commercial or residential, visit ericksonslandscapesupply.com to see our entire selection.
It's Brewers Weekly on WTMJ.
We've already talked a little bit about the highlights of what went down in Wednesday's game. Let me break down really deep here the eighth inning. I briefly talked about the Wandy Peralta decision with Mike Schilt. And all of this is going to be included in a deep dive into the eighth inning on the YouTube page Friday. I'm going to have that uploaded hopefully sometime early afternoon tomorrow, Friday, on Dom Brewers WTMJ. So go ahead and subscribe. And we're going to take deep dives all season long. And this one's going to be very specific of just explaining things of what went right and wrong for both the Brewers and the Padres and decisions that led to other decisions and why that inning shook out like it did. But from 0-2 to 3-2, the perseverance for Turang to stay in there and get on base. It's a 0-0 game in the eighth inning. And Bryce Turang, the leader in stolen bases this season, has one job. It is get on second base. And he's always trying to advance no matter what the job is. And this is what he had to say. Just that's the game plan. It's not about whether you steal a base or not. Get on second.
Well, we want to get on second. Like I wanted to get on second, whether it's a ball in the dirt. Like it's just always being ready. Always being ready to go. You know, that's what it is. It's never just relax. Like I don't get to first and just relax. And even if the pitcher's a 1-1 home and he's really quick, like you're always just sitting there like waiting for a dirt ball read or waiting for that one time that he picks up late. And you know, you're always trying to advance as a runner. And so
you might have caught that a 1-1 home. What the heck does that mean, Dom? What's a 1-1 home? That is the time it takes for the pitcher to kick and throw home. That's a slide step. That's a very quick release. Because as I've pointed out through all season long, as we're being educated baseball fans this year, we're being nerds. One of the things I wrote in last week's column was stealing bases, and I've written this in a notebook in spring training. Stealing bases is a math problem, not so much a jump problem. You know how fast you need to be. You know how fast Bryce Turang generally is on a good jump. Hopefully he can break 4 seconds, which is really, really elite, with a 12-foot standard lead. It's a math problem. So if it takes him 4 seconds to get to second base, and if the pitcher is taking 1.1 seconds to throw home, and the average pop time in baseball is 2 seconds, so that means that's 3.1 seconds just of the stuff that you know is going to happen. Let's say he throws a fastball. Okay, so that's going to get to the plate even faster. Let's just add 0.2 seconds to that. So now it's 3.3. And let's say as the throw comes in, he needs another quarter of a second to put the tag down. So now we're at 3.55. That is really difficult to steal a base on. Extremely difficult. And sometimes you got to get lucky. Pat Murphy knew that Bryce was going to pick the right pitch, and he's really glad with the way he went about it.
That's a good point, though. You know, if you think about that now, the kid pitching, that kid holds runners very, very well. I mean, he really holds runners. He had some 1-1-5s, 1-1-9s to the plate. You don't steal bases on that. You know what I mean? You just don't. And Bryce waited, patient, got himself a good pitch to run on.
It was massive because as I'm pulling up the StatCast on it right now. The pitch to the plate, or the release time anyway to the plate, as I'm pulling that up here, that's the wrong stat. I know this is thrilling live radio here, but as I'm pulling up here, release time, distance, I have way too much fun with the time here. So 167. That was one of his slowest pitches of the day. He actually used a leg kick on this one as opposed to a slide step. So that half a second certainly helps. So let's go back to that math problem, right? We said he was at a 3.55. That was with a 1-1 kick. So now you add a half second, he's suddenly at 4.05, and they got lucky on that. Furthermore, he ran on a breaking ball, and the pitch was in the dirt. Running on a breaking ball certainly gives you more time and gives you a chance to get into second base. Bryce, the number gets skewed because he didn't have to immediately get to second base once he saw the ball in the dirt. His time was 4.56, but his biggest sprint speed was 28 feet per second. And with such a short amount of time to get up to top speed, that's extremely impressive. What a gutsy call by Bryce Terang. Here's what his process sounded like in his own head as he was figuring out whether to go or not.
Yeah, I mean, he was pretty quick to the plate, and you kind of just have a feeling, and me and QB talk about it. I felt like that was the pitch to go on, and you saw them earlier in the at-bat, the heaters up in the zone, they knew I'm trying to get to second, and so just finding right times to go, and I thought that was a good pitch to go on, and it worked out.
And remember, Quentin Berry over at first base, one of the best base stealers of his time. He was always the guy added on postseason rosters just to be the pinch runner. So he was a massive piece of Bryce's development, as again, he's on pace maybe to be the first guy to double digits this year. He leads baseball with 9 stolen bases right now, and that was the biggest one so far of the season, stealing second base in a 0-0 game against a guy that had only allowed 2 hits to that point. Great stuff from him. And then Blake Perkins, of course, driving him in with a single through the left side. Fun day yesterday at the ballpark. But now, reality is getting ready to set in. What are the Brewers going to do without Christian Yelich? He's on the injured list. Let's start breaking that down, what the lineup's going to look like, what position players could be making an impact. All of that to come coming up next. If you want to join us, again, the phone number, 855-616-1620. 855-616-1620. Stay with us, WTMJ.
Catch more Brewers Weekly coming up on WTMJ.
Hey, this is Steve Scafidi for Advent. I had some snoring issues that kept my wife up at night. That led to poor sleep and a lot of tired mornings on the radio, and nobody wants that, trust me. Put it simply, my nose wasn't working the way it should. I decided to go to Advent for a quick 30-minute visit, one of their great facilities, talk to a bunch of their doctors. They really put me at ease. After a really simple sleep study at home, in my own bed, they determined the root cause of my problem had to do with my sinuses and nasal passages in my breathing triangle. I didn't even know I had a breathing triangle, so I went to see Advent. After a short procedure done in office, I'm back to breathing well, and my wife and I are both back to sleeping through the whole night. The best sleep we've ever had, that could be you. If you struggle with restless nights like I did, take the time to see how Advent can help. To find out how breathing well and sleeping well can make your life and your nights a whole lot better, go to AdventKnows.com, schedule an appointment today. Because Advent knows, when you breathe well, you live better.
New residential, commercial, or multifamily construction? Call Quality Heating before you begin. Starting a new remodel? Pre-planning any new construction with a qualified HVAC design engineer assures your comfort will be at its maximum. Because the last thing you want your new project to be is uncomfortable. This is Anthony Zanevsky with Quality Heating. From Sheboygan to Illinois to Madison and all of greater southeastern Wisconsin, the man in the red van can give you a master plan.
Quality heating, quality heating.
Her bedroom in back was always warm, while the one in front was as cold as an igloo. She asked me what she should do, and I told her, Mary, zoning will solve your issue. At Quality Heating, the man in the red van knows how to even out your home's temperature and take care of humidity or lack thereof. Heck, you spend most of your life there. Why not maximize its comfort? This is Anthony Zanevsky. Ask the man in the red van about zoned heating and cooling ideas for your home.
You gotta see the man in the red van. Quality heating, quality heating.
This is Brewers Weekly on WTMJ.
Tough news before the game on Tuesday. The Brewers will be without Christian Yelich. He is placed on the injured list due to a low back strain. We caught up with Yelly in the clubhouse. He's generally been wearing that wrap a lot, trying to get his back loosened up. There has been treatment. He's on medication, trying to get it right, and it wasn't getting better, and it wasn't getting worse, so the Brewers decided, you know what, we can't wait any longer. Let's just put you on the injured list and fill this roster spot with Joey Wiemer. With that being said, you now lose your home run leader, the guy that had over 1,100 OPS in the first week and a half of the season. Where do you go from here? Your everyday three-hole hitter. The Brewers are going to continue to mix up their starting lineups, of course, but now Sal Frelick's going to become an everyday left fielder while Jackson Chourio continues to play right field, and Blake Perkins is going to play a lot of center field. Maybe Wiemer gets a start against the lefty, and Perkins will move to, or Wiemer will play left, Perkins will be in center, and Chourio will be in right. Maybe Sal will have the day off, or he'll come off the bench or be a DH or whatever, but they're going to have to get used to life without Yelly. And all the load, in my opinion, falls onto Willy Adames now, as it has been the last couple of years. But Willie's off to a good start. And I know we said this about Willie last year as well. But I had a conversation with Connor Dawson, hitting coach of the Brewers, one of the hitting coaches, about why is Willie's start this year different from last year's. And some of the numbers that pop up, and I've talked about it on postgame shows before, his pull rate is the highest it's ever been in his career. And maybe that sounds alarming to some, but I asked Connor about that directly. He said, that's a byproduct of him being on time and him being way more disciplined this year. Right now, he's got a career-high walk rate, which is at 13%. In fact, he's actually tied for the team leading walks. Think about that. Willy Adames is tied for the team leading walks right now for the Brewers, 2 weeks in. He also has the lowest strikeout rate of his career right now at 19%. League average is 23%. All we've ever said, we have said this over and over again. If Willy Adames strikes out at a league average rate, he is one of the best shortstops in baseball on both sides, offensively and defensively. Because he does do damage when he puts the ball in play. He has a good barrel rate. He makes hard contact. He does have power to the opposite field, but his natural power is, of course, to the pull side. I mean, look at what he did in that road trip, specifically in Baltimore. He was peppering that stupid wall in left field as much as he could. He hit a couple out. He hit a double. He had a fly out on the warning track. I mean, that's a product of being on time and identifying fastballs and being ready to go. Is he going to last all year? No. He's a career above average hitter, though. A 108 career OPS plus. He's at 154 right now for the young season. Last year, you may remember, in the first month of the year, he also had a 350 on-base percentage. Right now, it's at 400. He had 18 walks in the first month of the season. Then in May, it came crashing down. He had a 217 on base and a 165 batting average. I'm looking to avoid that regression from Willy Adames getting ready for next month. I see a guy that is doing damage to the baseball in the zone, being selective. It's okay if Willie strikes out. And it's especially going to be okay if he's doing damage because he's probably going to be the 3-4 hitter. I like putting Sal there. I'd rather put Willie there and try to have Reese batting fifth and Sal batting, or Reese batting fourth and Sal batting fifth. I get why the Brewers do it with the alternating lefty-righty thing. I don't mind Willie in the 3 or the 4 while Yelich is hurt. But he's going to shoulder a lot of the load. Speaking of Rhys Hoskins, let the man get it back. I think we're remembering now, he missed an entire year. It's not going to be easy in like a snap of the fingers. I know he had that great opening series in New York. It's not going to be a snap of the fingers and he's back at it. And I also want to remind folks, when it comes to batting average, which we don't care about with Rhys Hoskins, he's a league average hitter when it comes to batting average. Where he's above average is his slugging and his OPS and his home run rate. You know, he's a full 2-3 percentage points higher on his home run rate than league average. He is here to hit for power, not hit for average. Yes, I know he's grounded into 5 double plays this year. He knows that too. He's got 3 bombs. He's not, a bona fide on baseman, but granted, 2021, he had a 334. 2022, 332. He's been a remarkably consistent on-base guy, right around 340. In some of his younger days, right around 350, 360. If he can sit in the 330, 340 as the season continues, as he continues to get his eyes back, Rhys is going to get better. He's going to get stronger. He's going to get his baseball sense back. And as long as he keeps hitting homers, the Brewers are going to be very excited with what he can provide. And finally, Sal Frelick. Sal's now back in the groove after he had that cold start, remember? And I had asked Pat Murphy, like, hey, you see anything from Sal? He's taking a lot of pitches. He does take a lot of pitches, including some breaking balls. We can work on that. He's sometimes a little too picky. Remember, he started the season hitting just a $174 in his first 25 plate appearances. He was 4 for 23 with no extra base hits in his first 25. Since then, he has been a man possessed. This goes back to the last game of the Mariners series, and even to yesterday when he went 0 for 4. But since that last game of the Mariners series to yesterday, he's hitting .381. He's got a pair of doubles. He's hitting the ball hard. Also during this stretch, it's a 10-game stretch in which he's got 6 multi-hit games. And on the season, he's got more multi-hit games than he does hitless games. 7 multi-hit games, 5 hitless games. He is a guy that is going to hit for average and for on-base percentage on this team. He is not going to hit for power. So this is where all those balances come out. Without Christian Yelich, if Sal is continuing to get on base and be potential damage for the guys like Grease, for the guys like Willie, or maybe even if he starts leading off even more, for William, batting in the 2-hole. And William, we haven't even talked about his start, leading the team in WAR, one of the best catchers in baseball, as we've been saying over and over. I think Star of the Nation starting to agree. Remember, send that man to Arlington once All-Star voting opens next month. We do got to talk about the pitching, though, because there's a bit of a black eye or maybe a bruise on the knees if you're Wade Miley. We got to talk about what's going on with the pitching and what to expect as the guys continue to recover from injury. This text from Doug mentioning about the ERA, win-loss, and saves on the scoreboard, but it was on the scoreboard yesterday. Appreciate your eagle eye there, Doug, being at the game. And yesterday's game was one of the best I have seen in person. Just excellent all around. Thanks for listening, Doug, as always. We'll talk about the pitching a little bit more coming up next here on the home of the Brewers, 620 WTMJ.
Back with more Brewers Weekly after this.
QC Kinetics announces the arrival of National Medical Director Dr. Mitchell Scheinkup, an acclaimed orthopedic surgeon with 2 decades of experience and extensive research in regenerative medicine.
But I was one of the first orthopedic surgeons to do it, and at the same time I integrated clinical research that's resulted in several publications that are really directing the future of regenerative medicine. I was drawn to QC Kinetics after I reviewed their protocols, and everything they were doing is consistent with my own approach.
Today, Dr. Scheinkup leads the entire team of medical professionals at QC Kinetics, taking this exciting medical breakthrough to a whole new level.
What we are doing at QC Kinetics is transforming lives.
Get lasting joint pain relief. Call QC Kinetics now for your free consultation.
This is the future of medicine.
Call QC Kinetics, 414-285-3474. That's 414-285-3474. 414-285-3474.
With all the positive Google reviews continuing to pour in for Richlawn's Tire and Service Centers, we want you to know we appreciate you.
You were due for service, we delivered, and then you went the extra mile and wrote a few kind words about the service you experienced.
Yeah, thank you so much. Michael, Glenn, Jeff, Lisa, Carol, Jason, John,
Wait,
Michelle,
hang on a
Ryan.
second, Dad. As fun as it may be to name every single person who's ever left us a Google review, there just isn't enough time. We get 60 seconds, and I'd say we've got about 28 left.
Ah, good point, Courtney.
Listen, we appreciate every last one of you for helping us maintain a nearly 5-star Google rating. And we're going to keep on shooting for the stars, especially when it comes to providing top-notch auto repair service.
Yep, and remember, be safe, buckle up, and hey, always make sure you've got good tread on your tires. Peter, Bruce, Samantha, Kimberly, Nick, Heather,
Oh,
Marissa,
Dad.
George, Jeremy, Diane, Brad, Paul.
Church and Chapel Funeral Homes. Family owned, family operated, family priced. Church and Chapel Funeral Homes. There's one near you.
All Brewers games are on sale now. Coming up, a weekend showdown with the Yankees, Friday, April 26th through Sunday, the 28th. Start the series with Friday's hockey night. Then take home a limited edition Brewers City Connect Tumbler Cup at the game on Saturday, the 27th. Presented by Quick Trip. Don't miss out on a marquee weekend of baseball. Grab your seats at brewers.com/tickets.
Tune in on Sundays at 10 a.m. for the AccuNet Mortgage and Realty Show.
Join AccuNet's Brian and David Wickert for the most up-to-date information on mortgage trends, along with timely news on the real estate market. The housing market is in flux, but the national headlines don't often fit local market conditions. Find out what's really happening on the front lines of real estate and mortgage financing in Wisconsin and make better decisions by tuning in every Sunday at 10 a.m. The AccuNet Mortgage and Realty Show with Brian and David Wickert on WTMJ.
Brewers Weekly on WTMJ.
Welcome back. Dom Catronio with you. 855-616-1620. 855-616-1620. We got another 15 minutes or so, a little less than that here left in the show. We're going to talk pitching here and then preview the weekend after this in the final segment. So let me give you some injury updates and some roster updates right off the bat. A non-pressing one. Kevin Herget cleared waivers after he was DFA'd the other day to make room on the roster. Cleared waivers, outrighted to AAA Nashville. So no big deal there. He had appeared and was bullpen depth for a day in Cincinnati and then sent him right back down. Next, Tobias Myers. He also has been optioned, not DFA'd, optioned. So stays on the 40-man roster, optioned down to AAA Nashville. So he was up for a day. We talked to him, but never got into the game. He was there for coverage just in case, and he gets sent back down. We will see him at some point in the big leagues this year, I would imagine. There is no corresponding move yet for that. That will be announced tomorrow in St. Louis. I have to imagine that could be Trevor McGill. Trevor McGill had been on a rehab assignment out in Nashville, coming back from his concussion. This would really help the leverage bullpen get back to what it was originally planned to be, between McGill, Piops, Uribe, Piguero, Milner. That main five of the leverage arms being all back together will be huge. And don't forget, Brian Hudson might be a leverage arm now too, and Bryce Wilson is still your innings eater. He said, look, he's probably not going to be active tomorrow. He's not going to be available, but he'll be ready to go on Saturday. So the bullpen is back to what it was supposed to be coming out of opening day. Aside from J.B. Bukowskis, of course, who is injured right now. And the other good news with J.B. is that his MRI revealed it's not so much an MRI, or rather an MRI strain. His MRI is not so much his lat, but rather his triceps, and just some inflammation, tenderness, and they just told him rest. And it's something he's dealt with before. They were being very precautionary. Talking to him in the clubhouse, he was really excited to hear that that was the diagnosis and not his lat. So he should be back sooner as opposed to later. Furthermore, the Brewers acquired one of his good buddies back from the Astros organization, a guy that he was traded with in the Zach Greinke trade, Corbin Martin, a talented right-hander out of Texas A&M back in the day. He's had Tommy John twice. He's had a litany of injuries, kind of like JB, but the Brewers might have found another diamond in the rough here. He's been sent to AAA. He's on his fourth option year right now, so he can be shuffled back and forth this season. Another piece of bullpen depth that will really help. Also about Corbin, he got DFA'd by the Diamondbacks even though he had that fourth option year. So very odd by them. But the Brewers are certainly happy to claim him. Another injury update, Jacob Junis. He is still throwing flat grounds right now. He is at about 75 feet. No timetable for him to return to the mound per se, but he is getting closer. Nothing imminent with him. They're still hoping, I would imagine, at some point in May. He will need a rehab assignment as well, but he hasn't even thrown on the mound yet as he deals with a shoulder impingement. And as the conversation went, we haven't heard anything negative about Wade. He was moving around okay in the clubhouse yesterday. We'll see if that changes in the next couple of days, if he needs to be skipped for a day or get an extra day of rest after getting that comebacker off the knee after the tough start on Tuesday against the Padres. Some other notes here. A lot of folks were questioning, why didn't Freddie Peralta pitch yesterday on normal rest? That was not normal rest yesterday. To go from 6 days rest after a rain out to 4 days rest, which, quote-unquote, yes, is normal rest, it doesn't just snap your fingers again and do that and be A-okay. I'm okay with it. Prioritize rest in April. Maybe if they're in the middle of a pennant race in September, yeah, then you're talking about having him go every fifth day. But another thing about pushing him back and what that rain out did is now Freddie gets the ball tomorrow against the Cardinals. And you go Freddie tomorrow, DL Hall Saturday, and then Ray on Sunday. Do you consider going back to the six-man rotation? As now you're embarking on your second 13-in-a-row stretch of 3. So tomorrow begins 13 in a row again, then another off day, 13 in a row one more time, and then it starts getting a little more gradual with their off-day usage. If they go to a six-man rotation again, after the weekend, we just said it's Peralta, then Hall, then Ray. A 4-game set in Pittsburgh would feature, with a six-man rotation, would feature Joe Ross, Wade Miley, TBD, Freddie Peralta. So here are your two options in that TBD spot. It would have to be, it could be Aaron Ashby. 15 days will have passed since his last option. But if you're going to bring up Tobias Myers again, it would have to be for an injury because, again, you have to spend 15 days in AAA as a pitcher after you've been optioned. You can't just be shuttled back and forth. You can only be optioned a maximum of 5 times throughout a season. Keep that in mind if they go to 6. But the other caveat, the other bad news with that, if they go to a 6-man rotation, is the Yankees series would be DL Hall, Colin Ray, Joe Ross. I'm not trying to do a vote of disconfidence or just not have confidence in DL Hall, but look, the Yankees would be his toughest test yet. And the fastball has not been the fastball we thought it was going to be. Maybe you try to have a day, maybe you have him in game 2 if you can, have Freddie go, but I that's just down the road trying to figure out what you want to do. So if they go to 6, that's what the setup would be. If they want to roll with 5, Peralta would start that 3rd game into Pittsburgh, and you would have maybe the TBD or maybe Hall on Thursday, the last game of the road trip in Pitt. So that's just getting ahead of ourselves here and some updates of what we need to know about the pitching staff. All right, let's preview the weekend. Big divisional matchup, the Redbirds. And it's going to be an emotional weekend with the passing of Whitey Herzog. And I'm sure they will have plenty of honors for that, as last year the Brewers were in town for Mike Shannon's passing as well. So I'm sure that the Cardinals will do it right for the Hall of Fame manager, and it will be quite a sight to see. But let's talk about the baseball coming up next, what the rotation looks like, and get ready to wrap up the program here on 620 WTMJ.
More Brewers Weekly coming up on WTMJ.
I'm Jessica Ty. We have breaking news on Wisconsin's Midday News. After a long battle with prostate cancer, Pro Football Hall of Fame running back O.J. Simpson is dead at the age of 76.
And I'm Greg Matzik. Never a bad time for a margarita.
Stories of the strange.
The city of Irving. Hello. Working on serving out the world's largest edible moon pie. It weighs 180 pounds and measures 5 feet in diameter.
On our list of weirds, I give that one like a 3, Greg.
Okay. Wisconsin's Midday News on 620 WTMJ.
Wholesale mulch? No problem. We deliver to residential or wholesale accounts, and we can supply you with whatever volume of the highest quality mulch you need. Nobody around here has more mulch than Erickson's. We'll deliver you a 1-yard pickup truck load all the way up to 100 yards in a walking floor trailer. And if you just need a little bit, swing by and we'll fill up a 5-gallon bucket or 2. It's the best mulch you'll find. Erickson's Landscape Supply. High-quality mulch and stone for a whole lot less. Commercial or residential. Visit ericksonslandscapesupply.com to see our entire selection. Our decorative stone is available by the handful for pickup, all the way up to 24-ton load deliveries. And our stone is superlative. We scour the countryside, countrywide, from Arizona to the Carolinas. We search pretty much the whole U.S. of A. to find you easily the best stone selection in southeastern Wisconsin. See a rainbow of decorative stone colors to match any exterior decor. Erickson's Landscape Supply. High-quality mulch and stone for a whole lot less. Commercial or residential, visit ericksonslandscapesupply.com to see our entire selection.
The Mine Chef restaurant in Hartford and Oshkosh just lowered their dine-in Wednesday and Friday fish fry price to $4.99. Kids and grandkids 5 and under eat free from the kids menu. Sunday through Thursday. Call and reserve minechefrestaurant.com.
Visit family-owned Ken Michaels Furniture and our in-store design centers where you'll still find beautiful, luxurious, heirloom-quality American-made furniture. Right now, save 30 to 35% store-wide and take advantage of our complimentary design services. Whether you're moving, renovating, or updating, our designers will help your vision become a reality. Visit Ken Michaels Furniture in Brookfield on Capitol Drive and in Greenfield on Highway 100 to save 30 to 35% store-wide today. Sleep better and save more with mattresses from Milwaukee Mattress and Ken Michaels Furniture. Handcrafted in our Milwaukee factory, our mattresses utilize natural materials like cotton cushioning, which dissipates body heat, Joma wool quilts for warm wintry nights and cool summer evenings, and natural latex providing superior conformability and pressure relief for aching joints. Stop in today at any Ken Michaels Furniture store and save up to 50% compared to national brands.
It's Brewers Weekly on WTMJ.
All right, final segment here. Got about 2.5 minutes. Real quick, pitching matchups this weekend. What to know about the Cardinals. Kyle Gibson goes tomorrow, Miles Michaelis on Saturday, and Sonny Gray on Sunday. So you will see their ace, who's been off to a great start. He hasn't allowed a run yet as a Cardinal. The Cardinals' offense is not good, which we could have told you, but it is not good. 300 on-base percentage as a team, 350 slugging as a team. Nolan Arenado is heating up on this past West Coast road trip when they went to Arizona and to Oakland. He's on a 7-game hitting streak, hitting .393 over the streak. He also collected his first homer of the year. He also has a pair of doubles on this streak. Paul Goldschmidt, not the same. Hitting .182 with 1 extra base hit, a home run. He has not been playing well this season. Game times coming up for this week. Tomorrow will be a 6:40 Central Time first pitch. 7:15 Central Time, first pitch, 6:40 airtime here on WTMJ. Then a 1:15 first pitch on Saturday. I've got you covered with Brewers warm-up at noon for both Saturday and Sunday. Our coverage beginning at noon for first pitch at 1:15. Those are the key things to know. Now, we do have Bucks after the Brewers on Saturday night. I may have an abbreviated show on Saturday before we get into Bucks coverage. Next week, I don't want to jump into that schedule yet until we get firm tip times for maybe Game 5. But we do know that our games will be affected of what network we're on. Stay close to my social media at Dom_Catronio, at WTMJ social media at 620 WTMJ. As our post-game shows will still go on, they just may be at different stations. They may be over on our friends at 94.5 ESPN Milwaukee. They may be over here on WTMJ. The point still stands. We would still love to have you on the program and join us to react to the first matchup with the Cardinals. You'll see them again in 3 weeks. So you got the Cardinals this weekend. Then you go to Pittsburgh for a 4-game set. Back home for the Yankees and the Rays. Then you'll go back on the road again, down to Chicago to take on the Cubs. And then a week after that, the Cardinals will come to town for the first time this year. So a real big NL Central mix coming up here for the Brewers. That will be very, very important. Thanks to everybody who tuned in tonight. No off days, like I said, for us. Back at it tomorrow. My thanks to Max Meyerson, our producer. My name is Dominic Catronio. We'll see you tomorrow. Until then, keep on swinging.
Each day, there's a sliver of time when you can